Let's have a talk, let's have a chat, talking about a little this and that. Hello and welcome to another episode of This and That. I am your host, Mary Easterling, and today we are continuing on with part 2 of Nicolaitan Overlords by Bob Neumann. But before we begin, to listen to part 1 or anything else from This and That, go to talkingaboutthисandthat.wordpress.com and click on the podcast link. Because this is from Bob Neumann, it will be featured on our blog page. Our blog page has read more links. Click on them. They will take you to the article. The article has the audio link for the podcast. Since this will be in 3 parts, as far as I have determined, you'll do a lot of listening while you are looking because the audio's open in a separate tab. So, without further ado, part 2 of the Nicolaitan Overlords. At the end of part 1, we heard this line, "It must end," and then I sang it, "one way or another." And then we asked the question, how can you tell a Nicolaitan from a true servant of God? And that is where we're going to begin in this episode. Bob writes, the answer is simple. Look at their fruit. Look at their sheep. Look at their quote-unquote works, or should I say lack of. James said, faith without works is dead. It has caused many useless arguments in the church for centuries. But why? King Jesus himself said that whatsoever we do to the least, we do as it were to him. The church is not a weekly event orchestrated for the sheep's entertainment. The church is not a building or an organization, nor is it a set of rules and bylaws that govern behavior. Full stop. However, in today's modern century, in a civilized world, you end up with edify. So many edify. So many build, each with their little congregants and their little pastor and their little administration. And you do have your house rules. I'm reminded of something that goes totally off script. If you don't have to be an offense, don't. Jesus wasn't. He and Peter came back into Capernaum only to be confronted by the tax collector who said, hey, poll tax, don't you pay poll tax? Are you going to pay poll tax? And he's addressing Peter. Hey, Pete, didn't you and the rabbi, are you going to pay, you and the rabbi, don't you pay poll tax? You're supposed to pay poll tax. Pay the poll tax. Let's go. Come on. Cough it up. And Pete's like, let me go back to the house and get poll tax. So Pete goes back to where Jesus is, tells Jesus, you wouldn't believe it. One of the tax collectors just came to me and asked for the poll tax. I mean, seriously? Jesus had a funny response. He said, to whom is this tax supposed to be levied upon? The natives, the sons, or the foreigners? And of course, the poll tax is for foreigners, kind of like a tariff. So then, given that answer, Jesus is looking at Peter and going, well, then the sons aren't supposed to have to pay this, are they? But see, we're not paying this to temple. We're paying this to Rome. And as far as Rome's concerned, Israel's a foreign place. They're in Pax Romanus, but seriously, that's about it. They ruling. They want to feed themselves. Pay up. Shut up. Just do it. Nike. Swoop. The edge of the scimitar. So what does Jesus do? Nothing. He instructs Peter to do his job. What was Peter before he became a disciple? A fisherman. So what does Peter know how to do? Grab a line and hook, go down to waters, chuck it in, reel it up, catch him a fish. Would Jesus be doing this? Well, he could. Problem is maybe that if he went into the water, all the fish would just come up to him and go, can we have something to eat? And the fishermen who are trying to throw nets would be cursing him up and down because all the fish have come over to the shallows. And I mean every size of fish. Who knows what kind of sizes of fishes are at Lake Galilee. Either way, it would be bad for the fishing industry if the Son of God walked into the water to pick up a fish. This will be a catch and release, folks, because Peter's told to hook yourself a fish. Open the mouth, you'll find a coin, take the coin, pay the poll tax. Presumably, pull the hook out and let the fish go. Not unless they want to have it for dinner. I mean, nothing says I love you like fish breath poll tax. Jesus didn't even pull it out of the chest, the purse, that a certain other disciple would pilfer from. That would be Judas Iscariot. He didn't even bother with that. He said, well, this may be facts. We shouldn't be paying it, but let's not be offensive, shall we? Let's just Pay the man. Pay the emperor. Pay him what he's due. Oh, so you will have rules and bylaws that govern decent behavior in the church house, but it's not the be-all and the end-all of what is church in God's eyes. Bob writes, the church is his body. The ecclesia is a global entity of all who are in Christ Jesus. It is as he commissioned his disciples to perform. We are those called out of darkness and death by the power of his name. The application of his blood is our salvation, adds the host. The name is what you call upon to get the application of the blood. Mic drop! Bob writes, we are of every nation, kindred, and tribe, of every age, color, class, language, and people. Oh, wait, says the host. Oh, my God, you mean there are black people in the church? Says the white-colored host. Oh, no! Yes, Neuro-Latinos, and I'm not going to use the derogatives for all the rest. But they're in there, like a can of Prego. It's in there. After all, isn't there a scripture about every knee shall bow, and your inheritance is the ends of the earth, all the nations, all the hominids are yours to rule over, O my son? Okay. Bob writes, we are a holy nation unto our God and Father. We are an eternal body that is bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. We are of his blood. The reason why King Jesus hates the Nicolaitan Overlords with a passion equal to his love for his bride is because the main goal of the Nicolaitans is to pervert the church and prevent the coming of the bride. Full stop. It's called becoming one. When we who are his body finally do begin to assemble into the image of him, I just wonder, will there be a trigger in time and space and all hell will start breaking loose to test that loyalty? Or does it take all hell breaking loose for us to get serious and involved with him? Oh, see, this thing will cut both ways. I may be hacking away at you Nicolaitans, but I am not going to spare you, Miss Bride, in your fishnet stockings full of tats like a hoe. Get off of that. Get purified. My God. Bob writes, so we have quote-unquote church and not a people sanctified and empowered. So far, all there is, you might say, is a remnant. Would it surprise you if there was only to be a remnant? That the king has no interest in the religious and the double-minded? That he is not coming for 10 sleeping virgins, but for a bride who has made herself ready, who stays awake and sober, working and waiting to please her beloved. Full stop. What is a bride? She's the gal that said yes when he knelt down and slid a ring on her finger and said, will you marry me, Miss Bride? Now, why did she say yes? Because he was eye candy? Maybe. I mean, that's usually a prerequisite. Eye candy in her eyes. Or was there something else about that guy kneeling down with a ring in hand to slip on her finger to announce an engagement, a betrothal, a fiancing, an intention to wed and bed and have union with? Because she fell in love. Of course she says yes and sheds lots of tears and is acutely gigglingly uncomfortable. She's delighted. She's only been waiting for that ring for like forever. What the heck took you so long, dude? We've been waiting for this. Now, seriously, it's actually the other way around. Lady, he's waiting for you to bow the knee and say, will you have me and bind me to yourself? Oh, I just went into Song of Solomon. Wait, no, back out. That might just be too intimate. Too intimate for this broadcast, because that's not a part of this broadcast. Yeah, no, let's be a good little girl and not go down that rabbit hole. I could, but I won't. Not in this broadcast. I know someone else who's got a bigger, badder testimony than mine. She might just weigh in after this. Oh, my giddy aunt. Won't that be spicy? Not saucy. saucy, just spicy. Because once you start talking bride and Song of Solomon in the same sentence, you went into spicy with a capital spicy. The coming of the bride is a mature thing, ready for love, ready to become one with, ready to say yes. Why? Why does she want to marry him? What's in it for her? Well, God. Having children, that's not a very pleasant thing for most women. Sorry, had to. I can testify to this. Saying yes to him and then realizing she said yes to his house and keeping it up. And all the other scuttlery maid work that goes with being a wife. It isn't all lovey-dovey, kisses and cuddles in the night. Usually it's elbow deep in dishwater and dirty diapers, and the cleaning and the mending and the sewing and the hoeing and that's hoeing the ground, creating to plant seed, all the things that we used to call woman's work. That which us women who are too busy for it now have to hire a maid to do? Yeah. It is not glamorous, folks, but she doesn't care, because the minute he walks in the house, something gets turned on, like the lights, like the chemistry. All he has to do while she's drop dead tired, absolutely on her last nerve, all her corns have been stepped on by those rugrats, elbow deep in the dishes, and he comes up, gives her a few sweet nothings, plants a kiss on her, and she's just going to run away, be with him. Why? Because at the core of this, she wants to please him. It's about him. He's the epicenter of her world. Now, if you're talking living God, that's the way it ought to be, ladies and gents. If we can be sons, they can be brides. Don't go there. Bob writes, regrettably, things have this tendency to repeat themselves. When the Lamb came, he was received by many. He was opposed by the religious authorities. The quote-unquote elders, chief priests, and scribes is what the gospel states plotted his death. The only thing that they did not realize was that the Lamb came to die. Full stop. In other words, he was banking on their being that dastardly and plotting to have him killed. I mean, how else is this poor man going to ever get himself nailed on a Roman cross? Somebody's going to have to want to get him killed. Somebody's going to want to double-cross him, betray him, the innocent blood, because that's what he was born on earth to do. Mary had a baby. Yes, because you can't drive nails through an idea or the words of a God, even the living God. And the angel of the Lord is not to be nailed to a cross. What's he going to do? Bleed light, essence, power? No! The sacrifice has to be done in blood. It's an earth thing. You have to have blood in your veins, not some sort of, I don't know, whatever it is that goes in him now on the glorified flip side of this coin. No, he has to come in a parcel of flesh that can be killed, so that all the words about something in flesh going through hell for everyone else can actually be performed. That's why. A body you have prepared for me. Oh, precious. A lamb that came to die. He was banking on it, wanting it. In fact, I had an experience where I was there with him. I just wasn't in his pain physically. He said that would just about undo me. He's probably right. However, in the midst of his nightmare, I caught hold of something. As he's looking at the tableau below him, going through the hell in his body, interiorly, he has this anticipation, this joy, and it's like a burgeoning with every second that he hangs on, that he makes it through that cross. He's even waiting for the disconnect from the Father and the Holy Spirit, the disfellowship, just like Adam was disfellowshipped, only he was killed. Jesus has to partake of that same disfellowship. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? Of all people, me. Still, he was so happy. Do you know why? Because the greatest pain that God ever felt has been watching its creation, like lemmings going over the cliff straight into hell for eons and eons, using the Torah law and watching them go into hell faster. And the Spirit and the Father are grieving. And the Son is so frustrated he can do nothing, because he is the Word of the Father that can't perform. Nothing is more frustrating than trying to get her done, and you can't. Ask a paraplegic how bad they'd like to walk. It's like that with him. At this point, he's walking. He's finally getting it done. He's going to fix it for Daddy. And the spirit, the breath, will stop crying because his blood will flow. He will have become the way for us to come back to the Father, the creator and maker of us. Get it? Now, as being on the flip side of this and being his, knowing that, just that, why would you not want to please him? Why would you not be head over heels in gratitude to him at least? I told you, I'm not going to go there with Song of Solomon. That's too spicy for this broadcast. Bob writes, today we have a professional clergy. They make their livelihood off the people. Now Jesus said, to be great in his kingdom, you must be the servant of all. So we normally see little of the true servants. Wicked servants enjoy the spotlight. Read Matthew 6 for all the things you should not do when giving, fasting, and praying. The Nicolaitans do them all and brag about it. And this is where I have to stop, copy, and do my job. Because Bob doesn't do what I'm about to. I go off copy to present to you Matthew 6, 1 through 8 and 16 through 18. Matthew 6, starting at verse 1. Take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men, to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory from men. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. But when you do a charitable deed, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, that your charitable deed may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. Next, verse 5. When you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites. They love to stand praying in the synagogues and on the corners of the streets, that they may be seen by men. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. Excuse me. Oh, you're so pious. Why, Father? Why, Rabbi? Kiss my baby and bless it. Oh, lovey, 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 lovey. How much money shall I pay you? What shall I do for you? You're so pious. You're so holy. Verse 6. But you, when you pray, go to your room. Shut your door. Pray to your Father who's in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. That's part 1. Part 2 is this, verse 7. And when you pray, full stop, pray where? In your room with your door shut in the secret place. Secret place, Song of Solomon. Think about it. Google it. Secret place, Song of Songs, Song of Solomon. And you will find out more than you want to about that. Too spicy. Not going there. So when you pray, once you get there and you start uttering words, this is what you don't do. Verse 7, and when you pray, do not use vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think they will be heard for their many words. Therefore, don't be like them. Your Father knows the things you have need of before you ask him. And verse 8, that was verse 8. Don't be like them, for your Father knows the things you have need of before you ask him. And the next jumps down to verse 16. I don't include the Lord's Prayer for a reason. I'll get to it. Moreover, when you fast, full stop. Now, there's fasting to lose weight. There's intermittent fasting, which is actually good for the body. But this is God has called you to a fast. This is a season for fasting. This is a litany time for fasting. These are Jewish people. There are fast days as well as feast days, folks. There's a calendar to follow. Or usually you're fasting to get something. Not many people fast because God wants them to, so he can get at them. Ooh, that's saucy. So verse 16, moreover, when you fast, don't be like the hypocrites with a sad countenance. They disfigure their faces so they appear to men as fasting. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. Oh, look, a holy person. They're so weak. They're so brave. Fasting. I mean, if you're going to be a protester and you're doing a fast for a purpose and you want the attention, kill yourself till they have to come in and put IVs in you because you're dehydrating. You're dying. Jesus did a 40-day. Do you know how long Moses did it for? 80. Went up 40 days, came down, dealt with the business, turned around, went back up for another 40 days. And both times he was neither eating or drinking. You want to talk about sleep deprived, food deprived, and dehydrated, and this man at that age lived through it? Oh my God, there's some power. Guy didn't come down after 40 and collapse. He didn't come down after 80 and collapse. No, he came down glowing. How many of you would like to do a Moses fast and come away glowing? Hot tip, don't. You probably come back dead. Or no, that means you don't come back. Because I'm not sure that kind of power gets distributed on earth anymore. At least not in my nation. I'm an American. I don't think God would want to soil himself to come down here and do that to people. Of course, I might just turn around and start glowing. That would be smack in my face, and I'd be like, yeah, no. So, if you're not supposed to look like you're fasting, then what do you do, Miss Broadcaster? Verse 17, but you, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so you don't appear to men as if you were fasting, but to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Okay, let's take a second look at this, shall we? So what is to do and to don't listed here? Do give. Do help those in need. If you can buy that water bottle from the fridge section at the grocery store for the homeless person outside, do it. Then maybe you can go by the deli and get a sandwich to go with the water. Why? It's hot out. Hydration at the minimum and something to fill the belly with, maybe. If it's cold and you can swing it, pick a store bag out and just hand it over. Maybe there's a blanket or a jacket inside the bag. Or if you're really well off, maybe you can get a good backpack loaded with all those creature comfort things like toothpaste, toothbrush, soap, washcloth, especially the nylon ones, that need just a good rinse. Maybe a small can opener. That way they can get a can of soup at the store and eat it. Maybe a spork and knife set so they can eat the soup or anything else. So then what? Well, do you need the cameras rolling? Do you need somebody with a cell phone recording you doing this? Do you need this on Facebook or Instagram? Do you? You get caught out in some place and you start ministering to somebody. Somebody pulls out a cell phone and starts to take a video. Next thing you know, that's on the internet. What did you accomplish? Well, you got some really good advertising, sir. And if he's listening, he knows who he is. The lady who had the problem. And there he is at the hotel or restaurant lobby or whatever, and he's healing her on camera. Oh, isn't that nice? Well, kudos to you, sir. Kudos to the rest of you that do it. Great advertising for your ministry. Well, there you go. You have your reward. You're getting nothing out of this. Ain't no brownie points for you between you and God, you Nicolaitan. Okay, so this is verses 1 through 4. Prayer. Do pray. Pray loads. Continuously even. And better yet, commune. Because communing also means shutting up and listening to his response. You know, if you're always talking, you're not listening. Try it. Talk at somebody while they're talking at you and see if you can understand what they're saying. Doesn't work. That's my problem. I don't shut up. I mean, I'm doing podcasting. A podcast a day. Does it tell you anything about me? Miss Gift for Gab here. Oh, God. But do we need to be all spiritual Sam and Sally about it? No. People don't need to know your business of spirituality. After all, isn't that supposed to be before the Father and yourself? You come away, come alone. Come to Him. Pour out your heart. Vain repetition. Saying the Our Father over and over again, which is why I left it out. Quoting Psalm 23 over and over again. That's called being religious. You're just quoting stuff from rote. You're not being real. Of course, you might be eidetic, and when you come before the Father, because you have an eidetic or picture memory, and you've read the whole book, the Psalms just naturally start coming out of you because they're in your memory bank. Okay, well, you're rare, and you go for it. To you, I say, try personalizing it. That usually makes brownie points. Doing a litany, a mass, a liturgical in a place reserved for intimacy. I mean, when you're with your bestie or significant other or in real intimacy, are you that crass as to do it in public? Are you so formal? Maybe that's why you don't have a great marriage. Maybe you're too ritualized about it. Yes, I did just go there. Yes, no, I'm sorry. I did just go there. Just deal with it, folks. If you're too formal for all of that, no wonder you have a bad marriage. Where's the fun in it? Good God. Told you this would be saucy. And then, are you going to do this in public? Have a little respect and consideration for the other person, you showboater, you! That covers verses 5 through 7. Verse 8 tells us why we don't need to be so open and why we can be more private. He already knows about it. He does want you to ask, so he can come in and dote. Let me tell you something. When he has a mind to, our God can absolutely spoil you rotten. I said dote. D-O-T-E. Look it up. Finally, the thing we here in America could do more of, stop loading up at the buffet. So then there's a place and a time for the fast, if he calls for it. If you have to do it for a reason, why let the whole of your world know about it? Do it. Don't let anybody know about the secret. Don't let anybody in on it. Keep it a secret. Try it. Try fasting and try keeping it a secret. Piece of advice, just don't do it when you know you have to show up for a public thing where you're going to have to eat, and eating's going to break your fast. You're going to have to start all over again. Yeah, ooh. In other words, the whole point is to just do it without a lot of fanfare. Don't make a big deal out of the things you do. Make a big deal out of God himself. That's the mandate. Talk him up. Point to him. When you go do a thing with the peeps, do it with a smile and don't make a big deal over your role. If you feed the homeless with a bunch of self-seekers who want the limelight, don't be in the photo. They may think you unsociable. You'll know better. Take the selfie of you on vacay when you're serving you. However, piece of advice, don't post it until after you get home. There are people out there that troll the net, look for selfies, figure out when you're away to try and rob you. Be there. Be the nasty surprise that calls 911 and gets them busted. So, what you do for him or others, think of it this way. Did that homeless person want that photo op? Just how much embarrassing is it to that homeless person to be homeless in the first place? And now you making a big deal out of helping them. Have you seen homeless people? They look like scum because they don't bathe regularly. They get what clothing they can find because there's like nudity laws and all that. Otherwise, most of them would be buck naked running around. Some of them are buck naked running around, needing meds. And here's the other thing. Just how much more embarrassing is it to be all super spiritual? Because once you get up there, you got to put out and measure up. Sooner or later, you're going to slip, and it's all downhill from there. Fasting as well. Is your life anyone else's business? We today like to think so. No thanks to social media, but really? No. And seems the Lamb thinks the same way. If anyone had cause to toot a horn, to put on a show, he did. And he didn't, not even on the cross. I mean, he couldn't quite help being the spectacle. You're nailed up there. You're done so in a manner that makes you the show for the day. He was too busy being a sacrifice. Do you know, after all he went through, what he had to say, knew he had to say it, wanted it to be so? Father, forgive them, they just don't know what they've done. They don't even know what they're doing right now. Because if he hadn't have said those words, his death would have been meaningless. That means that when you don't know what you're doing and you screw up, there can be forgiveness from the Father. Mic drop. In fact, what was his big thing? Please, don't tell anyone about this. Go check it out for yourself. Jesus does a thing most of the time when he's doing stuff. He tells the person receiving it to keep a lid on it. The fact that they don't is neither here nor there. The point is that he's not going to call attention to the doing, but to the teaching, the doctrine that was coming out his mouth about the kingdom and his Father. It's King. Why? It was about pointing back to the Father. Oh. The Nicolaitan? They do the exact opposite. There are many brands of Nicolaitan to choose from, but they have certain things in common. Pride is one, desire to rule and control is another. They tend to be very defensive of their position and station, have no compunction at bending rules, even their own. And we will get into this in more detail in our third and final episode. So, until then,